Dear Princess Celestia, today I learned a valuable lesson about friendship. You and your friends might not always agree on everything, therefore you should always make sure to share your feelings and opinions with them. Sure, it might lead to a conflict every now and then, but when that happens you can always just go and find new friends. After all, who are they to disagree with anything you have to say? I'm the leader of this friend group, a god amongst these simple ponies. They shall agree with my opinions, or I will use my almighty powers to smite them straight to the darkest corners of Tartarus! Right, please disregard that ever happened. I promise I'm a great friend, and definitely not a cult leader. Anyways, the early seasons of the show are mostly defined by a single phrase.
Dear Princess Celestia.
Almost every episode in Season 1 ends with Twilight writing a letter to the princess about what she learned that week. From Season 2 onward, all of the other main 6 also report their friendship lessons to the princess, all the way up to the end of Season 3 with Magical Mystery Cure. This video will only focus on the friendship lessons up until Twilight alicorned up and became part of the 1%. I know from Season 4 onward there are still more friendship lessons which they write in their little journal or is generally portrayed through songs, but these first 3 seasons alone already have 34 friendship lessons to cover, and those are only the ones that are explicitly written in a letter or told to Celestia directly, which is more than enough for a single video. And yes, I did go through all the episodes to count them. But yeah, leave a comment if you want a part 2 of this or something, I don't know. Without stalling even longer, you've read the title, you know what we're here to do. Let's see if these letters were actually useful, or if Twilight should have perhaps picked up some extra friendship classes on the side. Let's just start right at the beginning and see where it takes us. The first letter to the princess happens in Season 1, Episode 3, The Ticketmaster, which basically boils down to, we all do something together, or we don't do it at all. In the context of the episode, sure, that's a very fair lesson. All of the main 6 wanted to go to the gala really badly after all. But in general, I feel like it's at least a little more nuanced. It's not like it's impossible to find an alternative or work something out if a specific friend can't come. Maybe they didn't want to go or are fine with being left out, who knows. Overall though, I'd say it's a pretty fair friendship lesson to learn this early on. Which brings us to another point. What are we gonna do with these friendship lessons? We want to determine how useful they are. So let's just sort them by useful and what the fuck was going through your mind, this is stupid as fuck. Good enough for me, to be honest. The next episode, Applebuck Season, teaches us that friendships are two-sided. It's both about giving and taking. Which, true, but also, that is literally how everything in the world works. I know Twilight is basically the definition of a nepo baby, so this is something she might not understand. But come on! Help your friends and also let them help you back is a stupid lesson to learn. Unfortunately, the next episode isn't much better. Don't be an ass to creatures you don't know. Keep being nice to every pony and your real friends will stay is the closest we'll ever get to Twilight's sad posting. Some only the real ones stay kind of BS. Though, as a friendship lesson, I do sort of get where they're coming from. Just be yourself and you'll find out which friends actually appreciate you for who you are, is a pretty valid perspective to have on friendship. This lesson should definitely be moved to the useful side, but then we also have this lesson from Season 1, Episode 25, which literally says, always expect the best from your friends and never assume the worst. And I don't know if it's just me, but that feels like it's at least partially contradicting the other lesson. Be yourself so you can see if your friends really like you for being you, but also, never expect the worst of your friends, they will always have your best interest at heart. I think I'll stick with my original decision to move the first one to the useful side, even though I'm a little more skeptical about it now. But the second one I personally don't entirely agree with. Even if you're the best of friends, there will always be situations where you or your friend will put their own interests above the others. That's only natural. Let's move this one to the BS side. Though I must say, this whole contradiction thing has piqued my interest. If we can find a contradiction for this one, perhaps we can find one for the other 2 friendship lessons we already have on the board. There's another one. Season 3, Episode 3, Too Many Pinkie Pies, where the friendship lesson is that you sometimes have to choose what friends you spend time with because you can't hang out with all of them at once. Yet this first friendship lesson teaches us to not leave any pony behind and spend time with your friends all together or not at all. I thought the show was supposed to teach me friendship, but this is just leaving me more confused! Let's just see if we can find a friendship lesson that seems to be unique at least. I think the Season 1 episode, Green Isn't Your Color, is a pretty good one. That episode's friendship lesson basically says, being a good friend means being able to keep a secret, but you should never be afraid to share your true feelings with a good friend. I don't have anything to say about that, to be honest. That's just a very valid lesson. And while it was unique in the sense that there isn't another lesson that directly contradicts this one, there are some episodes that have a similar message with their lessons. Some good examples are the Season 2 episode Sweet and Elite, which is all about how you should be proud of who you are and what friends and family made you that way. Or The Last Roundup, another Season 2 episode where Applejack writes about how important it is to have friends to rely on, regardless of how well you perform. Even episodes like Winter Wrap-Up fall into this category, going on about being able to rely on friends for difficult tasks. Let's stack all of these together and move them to the useful side. Now, this video needs some more negativity. I need me a lesson that I can roast real quick. Yeah, that'll do. Nothing about this lesson is even about friendship. You didn't trust your friend and even performed potentially dangerous experiments on them, all because you thought they were bullshitting about their pinky sense. The fact that the lesson you take from all this is, maybe I should be more open to things I can't immediately explain, and not some shit about trust or violating basic human rights is fucking insane! Or would that be basic pony rights? Whatever. Straight to the trash pile with you, honestly. The next episode on the list is Boastbusters, the original Trixie episode. The lesson here is all about being proud of your talents and knowing when to show them off. And that's a good thing to be aware of, sure, but it doesn't really have anything to do with friendship. Just because your friends make you realize that doesn't make it a friendship lesson. The same goes for Season 1 Episode 14, Suited for Success, where the friendship lesson is, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Or Episodes 6 and 7 of Season 2, where Apple Bloom learns that she will really have to wait for her cutie mark, and Rainbow Dash learns that she shouldn't judge a book by its cover. All really good things to learn, don't get me wrong, especially keeping in mind that the original target audience of the show was much younger than for the later seasons. But still not lessons about friendship. However, there is an episode where not judging a book by its cover was learned as a friendship lesson. This is the Season 1 episode Bridal Gossip, where Twilight manages to rephrase her lesson of don't be a racist as you have to look past the outside and learn who they are on the inside, and how real friends will look past your cover. The show does the same thing on the Buffalo episode, where they instead go for learning, understanding, and compromise so even the worst enemies can become friends. I'm sure Sombra, the Storm King, Tyrek, Chrysalis, and Cozy Glow would love to have a word with you about that one, Twilight. Regardless, I'm just gonna move these to the useful pile. Being respectful to other creatures around you instead of judging them on appearance is a very important friendship lesson. Now to quickfire some episodes. First, Dragonshy, where Fluttershy learns how important friends are to help you overcome your fears. I don't really see any way that isn't a good friendship lesson. Overcoming your fears is one of the greatest benefits of having close friends. The episode right after that is Look Before You Sleep, where the lesson is about how two ponies being very different can still get along very well. It's basically the same as with the Buffalo episode we just covered, just way less stakes and historical implications. But the lesson itself is still good, so let's just move it together with the other ones. The Swarm of the Century is the Paris Bright episode. The lesson here, maybe you should sometimes stop and consider your friends' opinions, however weird they might be, is what the lesson of Feeling Pinky Keen should have been. Where I threw that one straight to the trash, we'll move this one to the useful side. Now, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 episodes in a row that were useful. Let's end this streak of positivity the only way I know how. Spike. You know, it's kind of funny, as of right now, I've not made a single episode that was fully dedicated to Spike, yet he's been portrayed as the main antagonist in both my ships video and this one so far. If I had a nickel for every time I... Secret of my excess is that one episode where Spike becomes really greedy and grows huge, nearly destroying Ponyville in the process. The friendship lesson he learns from this is that it's no fun to get things if you don't have anything to give back. And honestly, with the exception of the kindness and generosity part at the end, this is just bullshit. Just cause you turn into Godzilla when you get too greedy for gifts, doesn't mean that all the other material girlies out there should follow your shitty friendship lesson about gifting. Do you plan to invite all your friends and family to your birthday and give them gifts instead? I sure as hell know I won't. Right, there are 3 more lessons left in Season 1, one of which is also by Spike, so let's just quickly get that one out of the way too. The 24th episode of the show, All's Well That Ends Well, taught Spike that being jealous and telling lies gets you nowhere in a friendship. Obviously that's a good lesson in basis, but I would change the phrasing ever so slightly to being jealous and telling lies is a bad foundation for a friendship. Especially in context of the episode, I think this is a better way to go about it. Telling a little white lie every now and then is totally fine, even being jealous about something could turn into a valuable lesson for the two of you. But I'd say it's important that the basis of your friendship is formed in truth and kindness. God, why did that sound so damn sappy? Anyways, the last 2 episodes of Season 1 are both Cutie Mark related. First, the 12th episode, Call of the Cutie, where Apple Bloom learns to Wait, what does she really learn here? Sometimes, the thing that you think will cause you to lose friends and feel left out can actually be the thing that helps you make your closest friends and realize how special you are. So like, have more things to be anxious or afraid about so you can trauma bond with new ponies? Yeah, no. Sorry, Apple Bloom. I know it's nice and all that having a blank flank got you and the other CMCs together, but this friendship lesson definitely does not make the cut. The other one, the Cutie Mark Chronicles, also kind of falls into the same category, which is really unfortunate as it's one of my favorite episodes in the earlier seasons. The lesson, as you can see here, doesn't really mean anything. Maybe you and your future best friends are all looking up at the same rainbow. Yeah, that's just great, as if we're all main characters who can just look up at a rainbow and have the plot take care of the rest. Not everyone is as special as you are, Twilight. Get a hold of yourself! Alright, just moving on to the Season 2 lessons we haven't covered yet. The first one is in the 3rd episode of the season, Lesson 0. The lesson here is to take your friends' worries seriously, even if you think there's nothing to worry about. And yeah, that's about as useful as you can get with a single letter of friendship advice. As a matter of fact, the same goes for a lot of other social situations you might encounter, be it a colleague at work, or with a relationship. Or with a relationship with a colleague at work? You do you, I guess. Just quickly moving on. Right after that we have the episode Luna Eclipsed. And just looking at this lesson, I have to 100% agree with Twilight. That Star Swirl outfit was not working. As for the rest of the letter, this one aligns pretty well with the don't judge a book by its cover lessons we went over earlier. The reason I covered this one separately though is because it's also about spreading friendship despite how scary the other might seem. Which is kinda true, but also again a little too optimistic. You're not just gonna be friendly and hug the kid who's been bullying you at school or something. Sometimes you're very justified in finding other creatures scary. I'll still place the lesson in the useful category, but a little more hesitantly than the other ones. Now, there's still 8 friendship lessons left, and my throat is getting sore from all this talking, so let's just go through these a little bit quicker. I want to keep the video interesting after all. Next up is Baby Cakes, where Pinkie talks about how responsibility can sometimes kinda suck. And like, yeah? No shit, Pinkie? Don't you work at Sugar Cube Corner? How little work do Mr. and Mrs. Cake give you that you've never had to deal with any sort of responsibility whatsoever? I wonder what Celestia's reaction was to reading that letter. Probably just slowly crossing off Pinkie's name in a list of potential future rulers or something. I at least doubt she thought it was a very useful lesson to learn. There are also 2 letters written by Applejack. One in the Super Speedy Cider Squeezy episode, where she just straight up admits to not learning anything. Which is once again extremely funny to imagine, considering the princess had absolutely zero context to what was happening. She's just getting a single letter from AJ saying she didn't learn shit. As much as I'd want to move this one to the useful side just for how funny it is, it's quite literally anything but useful. The second letter from Applejack, however, might stand more of a chance. This letter comes from the Season 3 episode Apple Family Reunion, and teaches us that it doesn't necessarily matter what you do with your friends, as long as you all have fun doing it together. And yeah, I don't have much to add on to that, it's just true. Being with friends could make even the most boring activities entertaining if you're all just goofing around and having fun. To the useful side it goes. Alright, quick side note I noticed. Why the hell does Pinkie write so many letters? She has like 4, whereas Rainbow Dash only has 1, and Rarity straight up has 0. The next episode, A Friend Indeed, is all about... Wait, does she seriously say, the best thing about friendship is being able to make your friends smile? The line you wrote directly before that says that some of the ponies would rather be left alone and that you should respect that. The lesson itself is a good one. It's important to respect boundaries and important to recognize that those are not the same for every creature. But holy shit, Pinkie, you are a dumbass. Let's just move on to the other letter you still wrote. Hopefully that one will be good enough to redeem Pinkie's horrible letter so far. At the end of Mystery on the Friendship Express, Pinkie writes about learning that you shouldn't jump to conclusions and figure out all the facts first. Which, yeah, you should. But that's also just more generic life advice and has nothing to do with friendship specifically. So, just like we did with the previous non-friendship lessons, to the dark side with you. 3 more lessons to go, 2 of which are from Fluttershy, so let's get those out of the way. The first one is during the 17th episode of Season 2, Putting Your Hoof Down, which talks about being more assertive without becoming a dick to your friends. I was about to go on a whole nother rant on how this letter doesn't explicitly mention friendship either, but honestly, I don't think it calls for it. It's great that Fluttershy learned to stand up to herself more, but removed from the context of the episode, that doesn't help us as the viewers one bit. Just saying you did something without going into further detail is kinda useless as a lesson. The other lesson came from the 22nd episode, Hurricane Fluttershy. And remember how just now I said that I wasn't gonna go on a whole rant on how that letter had nothing to do with friendship? Yeah, this time I will. It's great that you learned that even the smallest contributions can help. And in this case, through the plot armor of the show, you made a big enough difference to teach you a lesson. And besides the point that realistically this experience should have ended in a big disappointment for you, you failed to include the most important part of your experience. Who was it that gave you the confidence to show up and participate regardless? Your friends! Or well, the animals you take care of, but for Fluttershy specifically, that's basically the same. You could have turned this experience into a really wholesome and powerful friendship lesson, had you just written it as something like, "Thanks to my friends who never stopped believing in me, I was able to realize that even the smallest contributions can really make a difference." Friends in this context refers to the animals, of course, not any of the ponies that were in that episode. But unfortunately, this lesson was not written that way, so this too goes to the bad side. And then there's one more letter to go. The past 4 episodes we covered have all had bad friendship lessons, so hopefully we can end this video on a high note. Let's see what the very last episode is. Ah, fuck. Oh well, better get this over with. What's the friendship lesson of this episode? Wait, why does this look like it's an actual good letter? You realize you don't care you're a dragon living among the ponies because those ponies are your real friends and family. How sweet and wholesome. I too see my entire friend group as one big family with me at the center, of course. After all, like I said at the beginning, they all have to agree with my opinions and accept me as their leader. I promise you we're not a cult. Lumin populi, the pony's voice.